How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts. This is Jonathan Gillum, and this is The Experts on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube.
YouTube. It does nothing, YouTube.
There's never anybody on YouTube, hardly ever. So anyway, can't complain about that. Listen, we're going to have a good discussion today. We're going to talk about trolls and what their motivation are, because I really want people to understand what a troll is. I kind of have a little bit of a motivation behind that. And then we're going to talk about how I'm disappointed with the president's first moves or maneuvers after this shooting. Yes, I can be disappointed in President Trump. He's not a god, so he's still doing great work. But we're going to discuss that. So don't be surprised if I cough. I'm still getting over that. I will be chewing on a lozenge. And let's get started. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to lay it out for everybody. Let me make sure I got enough people on here tonight. Okay, we got 124 people on Facebook. If you haven't shared the show, share it. If you have, share it again. It's okay. You can share it more than once. Make sure that you retweet it on Twitter. Now, you know, there's a certain group of people that watch this show every night, have been a part of this show since it started. There's no doubt about that. I appreciate everybody's support. I think one of the reasons why this book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, the ones that are right out here by where all my cords are sticking out, they are, I can really thank the people that we have termed the CQRF in a lot of ways for what they've done in promoting this book. They've promoted this show, and they show up every night, and they're a part of this show. And that is why last night I was so highly disappointed with the way people, not everyone, but some people, a lot of people, acted and treated my guest that I invited onto my show. Now, I started this show 2 years ago, and I did it because at the time I was a contributor, a paid contributor at CNN. After 4 months, I was not being used by CNN, in large part because of this interaction that I played it before on here. I'm going to play just the beginnings of it. Let me pull it up here real quick. And it was because of this interaction that was the beginning of the end for me at CNN. Well, let's hold on. Let's see if it comes up. Give me just a second to get it loaded. Yeah. Birds. And this is basically
fundamentalists attack abortion clinics, and that's,
I disagree with you there, because Christianity is not built on the same thing that fundamental Islam was built on. Christ didn't go across through the world conquering like.
As you can see, they don't want me watching this. Stand by. 1 second.
Christian fundamentalists attack abortion clinics, and that's,
I disagree with you there, because Christianity is not built on the same thing that fundamental Islam was built on. Christ didn't go across through the world conquering like Muhammad did 1,400 years ago. So there is a fundamental difference there.
Okay, I'm not going to have a theological debate. I'm just making the observation that there are.
Well, you should make those statements then.
So by and large, that was probably the biggest reason why CNN and I broke ties. I am not willing to go on any network or any show and follow a narrative that I don't believe in. I'm not going to say stupid and ridiculous things like many on CNN are saying now, some of them former FBI agents. I'm not going to get in an argument with you about the Crusades right now anyway, because that wasn't a Christian thing. That was a Roman Empire thing, but we can talk about that some other time. That's a troll on Twitter. So basically, I don't bend for a narrative. That's not what I'm about. CNN didn't want to utilize me for my skills, so while they were paying me for the rest of the year, I created this show. And with the one purpose in mind, which is the truth, and to bring people on here. I'm not just the only expert. I have an expertise in certain things. That's how I was able to write a book about tactical awareness and threat assessments that you can do yourself. I mean, that's what the book is all about. I'm an expert in that field. I can talk about it. I'm an expert in politics, but not from the not from I'm going to get you elected. I can analyze leadership and I can see where it's missing. And I know criminal behavior because I was an FBI agent, because I was an air marshal, because I was a cop. And I don't bend. So when I started this program, one of the things I swore to myself is that when I have, and if I had guests on here, first off, I invite them. If there's going to be an argument, it's going to be between myself and them. But by and large, I'm not bringing people onto the show to argue. You want that, you turn on Fox or CNN or MSNBC. I don't bring people on here to argue. Why I bring people on here as guests is because I feel that they have an expertise in a field that I may not have. I feel that they may be able to speak to a certain group of people that I'm not able to speak to. And so that's how this show progressed. That's why people tune in and tune out the television. They tune in here because they're tired of hearing a narrative. They're tired of hearing people who actually are subject matter experts just go with the narrative. And on this show, you don't get that. You all have funded this through the GoFundMe page for well over a year. We've made almost $50,000, which have gone into this show, helped pay for this studio when I was on the road, which I'm going to get on the road again eventually. It has helped out in every way of getting new equipment, new iPad. Jim DeLong helped with the computers. I bought some other stuff. I got a couple new iPads for the display, new cameras, tripods, all these different things. Sound proofing equipment was all in part because of what you all donated. And why am I bringing this stuff up? Because I want you to realize that you are a part of this show. You are a part of the conversation. You are the dialogue. So last night, when I brought Nina onto this show, I did not expect people to treat her the same exact way that I get treated by trolls constantly over here on Twitter, not usually on Facebook. You see, last night the show was about this. I had a friend, and I say had because I don't really have much to say to him now, who's a former Force Recon Marine officer. I talked about this last night. He was the honor man at my school. Let me make sure my Facebook is still up while I'm telling this story, because it keeps going down on my Twitter or on my iPad. He was the honor man in my class. I thought the world of this guy. He's a successful businessman. He's a staunch conservative. That's his words, not mine. He's an avid gun supporter. His words, not mine. But now what's happened is he's failed to think for himself. With all the experience that he has, this Force Marine, this successful business person, he failed to think for himself when it comes to the Second Amendment. He no longer thinks for himself. Let me make sure that I got, that I'm not getting booted off all these things. Stand by. It looks like, are you guys getting this show, or is it getting interrupted? Let me know before we lose all our viewers. Just waiting on you all. Let me know. Looks like, okay, we're still going. Okay, so here I was. Here I was with a former Marine who I've known for years, who's been a part of somewhat of a mentor for me. I thought he was a great leader. And now he's failing to think for himself when it comes to the school shootings and how he is going to respond to these school shootings. I just don't feel like my internet's working. Please let me know if that's the case. Okay, everything's fine on Facebook. Must be my iPads or something. So, let's set this up here.
Yes, I could be disappointed in President.
So basically, last night's show was to explain to you that this individual with all this world experience, with all this experience in firearms, with all this experience in thinking for himself and making the right decision based on true analysis, this individual has turned his complete thought process over to leftist activists in this country who want nothing more than to go after the Second Amendment. And he puts up a meme that talks about getting rid of assault weapons, which I don't know what that is, and the AR-15 and domestic dispute charges and so on and so forth, as though that would stop anything when it comes to school shootings. It won't. And so when I was talking to Nina at Sirius, Nina works at Sirius XM, where I'm on the Patriot Channel. I fill in for David Webb, Andrew Wilkow, and Sean Hannity. And I was talking to Nina, and I've known Nina for several years, and we've had several conversations about Islam. She's a Muslim, I'm Christian. We've had several conversations about Israel, and she deems herself the Queen of Palestine. She's a fashionista. She surprised me when she told me that she is a supporter of the Second Amendment and that she believes that taking away people's guns would do nothing, not one thing to stop another school shooting. She has taken a step out of her ideology. She's taken a step out of the millennial mindset, and she thought for herself. She did the exact opposite of what my friend who is a Marine, who's trained in how to assess a situation, how to come up with a realistic plan to defeat an enemy, who has lost his mind when it comes to thinking through this problem. She, a woman who is 24 years old, 25 years old, I don't know exactly how old Nina is, who has no tactical experience, never been in the military, yet she has the ability to figure it out. And so the whole process of me bringing Nina on here last night was for twofold. One, to show everybody, especially liberals, that it is not the duty of the DNC or the RNC or the activists on the left or activists on the right. It's not their duty. It's to tell you how to think and make decisions for you. God gave you a brain, and you should learn how to use it yourself. And that was one of the main reasons why I brought Nina on last night, because I wanted people to see that I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care what your, how left you are, that you can think for yourself and analyze situations, understand when these politicians and activists are playing you. And she has, he hasn't. Experienced in tactics, he's failed. No experience in tactics, but she just simply took a step outside of what she's being told, and she figured it out. That is educational for you. That is a very important lesson for you to see. It's important for you to understand that, yes, there are people out there that you have nothing in common with. And when it comes to this important thing that's important to you, excuse me for the coughing, they may have something, they may see eye to eye, and they may actually have the ability to think outside the box. I thought I displayed that quite well. But what happened last night, and what shocked me to my core, and we have a tremendous amount of viewers watching right now, do not stop watching this show. If you're conservative or liberal, don't stop. I want you to hear this next message. I was shocked because I'm typically getting trolled on Twitter by leftists, by these stinky protesting people that you see down at Wall Street, and all these people who basically do nothing except go around trying to push their political opinion on everybody, their ideology on everybody. The Linda Sarsours, the Tamika Mallorys, all these Occupy Wall Street people. And they are nasty, vile individuals. They have no respect for people and their skill set in the years that they've put into work, like in my case, to defend this country. The blood, sweat, and tears. They don't care. They'll call me an effing idiot or terrible words like a retard or all this type of stuff. And they have no clue. They don't even listen to what I have to say. They just know that Sean Hannity wrote the foreword to my book, that I host conservative radio, and that I'm white, and they just hate me for no reason. They don't even listen to the fact that I trash the Republican Party, all the establishment, all the time. Because I don't believe in the Democrat or Republican Party. I don't believe in left or right or conservative or liberal. I believe in effective thinking. And so I was shocked when many of you that tune into this show and have been a part of this show, not only watching it, but supporting it. I was shocked when I saw you trolling Nina. Disrespectful. Saying, just trying to start an argument. When I'm sitting here with a guest that I invited onto the show, proudly inviting her on, telling her before the show, this isn't going to be like other shows. You're going to be able to tune in, and my audience is going to engage you, and they're going to be blown away because you are a Second Amendment supporter. And I bragged on the people that watch this show, the conservative people, even some people that are liberal, how they get along with each other. But that wasn't the case last night. You made a fool out of me, and you made a fool out of yourself. Because immediately, some people saying, people who support me all the time, saying, is this a joke? No, it wasn't a joke. Saying, I don't know if I find this funny or offensive. I don't really care how you find it. Asking Nina, Craig, I love you, dude. But how many times are you going to poke at her about Sharia law when I said we're not going to talk about Sharia law? I brought her on to talk about the Second Amendment and to show you that conservatives can screw up too by following an ideology that is opposite or away from the Constitution, especially like my friend who swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, but yet he's willing to just bend on the Second Amendment. What next? Maybe you shouldn't say certain things and now your First Amendment rights are taken? And I had several people. How do you feel about Israel? What do you think about Jews? Really? Is that appropriate? When I didn't bring her on to discuss this, I didn't bring her on to make you feel good. I brought her on because I thought the people that watch this show, majority of them claim to be conservative, and they hate trolls. And they acted exactly like trolls. Now, I don't know if you're going to realize that. I don't know if you're going to see that. But it was embarrassing and it was disgusting. And it's really the first time I've ever seen, besides having it myself, I've been attacked by people that are conservatives before. When I said Pamela Geller is an exhibitionist and I don't agree with the way that she does stuff, I don't even know what her motivation is. I didn't like the Draw Muhammad contest, not because I don't care whether they draw Muhammad or not. I don't care about that. But they had it in a public area, just inviting these people who did come down and got in a shootout. They could have killed civilians. They didn't take public safety into account. I didn't appreciate that. I wrote an article about it, and I got attacked by conservative people, calling me a fool, saying that I was disgusting, that I was a traitor, that I was a traitor, that I'm a traitor. Saying that I was an insult to the uniform that I wore. Really? Because I care about public safety? I care about the First Amendment, but I care about public safety as well. And if you're going to exercise your First Amendment, you should do it responsibly if you're trying to prove a point like they were. And they didn't. So I got attacked. I understand being attacked. And it's vile and it's nasty. But what I don't agree with is when I have a guest that I picked for a specific reason, which I went over. And your heart is so tight and your hatred is so great, and I get it. Listen, I'll be the first to admit, Islam has got a major problem inside of it. I've done several shows on that. I'm not going to back down from that at all, not even with Nina. Islam has a cancer inside of it. Islam could fix this problem of terrorism in this country in the snap of a finger if they wanted. And it's their problem, and it's infected our lives. I'll say that all day. I've been in the SEAL teams. I dealt with it. In the Air Marshals, I dealt with it. As a contractor, we dealt with it. As an FBI agent, I dealt with it. That same cancerous problem in Islam, fundamental Islam. So I get that you don't like the problem with Islam. But let me tell you something, folks. In this country, and you may feel differently about this, but I know because I've served. I swore to defend the Constitution, support and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, which means if I got Nina next to me and I got a problem with her ideology, I'm going to I'll do what I got to do to live in a space and occupy a country with people I don't necessarily agree with their ideology. But when they come on somewhere and do a guest, it'd be like me bringing somebody to your party and they get drunk and belligerent and embarrass me. That's what happened last night. I brought you all to the show and you all acted like, and really, I'm really glad I'm watching what you're writing. And I'm noticing that a lot of people that had stuff to say last night aren't writing stuff right now. And that's probably best. Because I'm going to be honest with you. After last night's show, I was this close to stopping and never coming back on here. Folding it up. I spent 2 years sharing the truth with you all. I bring somebody on, and one of the biggest things I talk about night after night is the fact that if you want to have a powerful citizenry again, you are going to have to learn how to have dialogue with people that you don't necessarily agree with. And if they agree to have dialogue with you, then guess what? You are taking steps ahead. You are taking steps ahead. Together. That's called unification, not division, which you see with these activists, these young kids. I don't feel the way other people have been talking about these kids from this school where the shooting happened, that they're being used. These people are willing participants. They're not children. They're 17 years old. They are not showing any remorse for the people that died. These people are willing participants that are being coached, and I find it disgusting. That is division. This is unity. And it bothered me greatly to see people that I see coming on here day in and day night and saying the right things, understanding exactly what this country needs. But last night, you ended up being the troll. And you could not have a conversation with this individual who gave you an in. Now, if you want to fight, and that's all you want, and Donna Nova, I don't care what you have to say because you're one of the biggest contributors to it last night. It just pissed me off. And why does it bother me so bad? I'll tell you why it bothers me. Because I sit here and I listen to people talk about they're not going to take my guns. There's going to be a civil war. I hate leftists. You know, it's always division, that they're dividing. You did it last night yourself. And it's a perfect example of why this country is in the shape that it's in. The leftists have done their 50% share of breaking this country up. But the other problem is that the conservatives in this country, the Christians in this country, the subject matter experts in this country that aren't controlled by the leftists, and the people that are just over the left, liberal, refuse to have dialogue together. They refuse to take a step back and let somebody else take the reins for a minute because they feel like they know everything, even when they don't. And we have division. And there's never going to be unification of this country if you keep up this nonsense. Never. People are always talking about how George Washington, how only 3% of the population at that point stood with him and fought against the British and won. Well, guess what? What I saw last night would not win anything. You had the opportunity to talk to a young woman who I believe has an incredible heart and is very smart. And though I can't do anything about her religious beliefs, and that's not my place, I can show her the example of how I live, but that's it. But she's a millennial, and I can try to do something like that by mentoring her not to be like other people, to follow blindly, but to think for herself. And you had the opportunity to have a real discussion. But I saw what happened afterwards. People coming on and saying stuff. Kitty Kelly, I'm disgusted with what you wrote. And you know I cherish your opinion. And there's several other people on here. I'm just waiting for somebody to say something. I'll block your ass faster. I don't care if you've been on here for 2 years, if you've contributed thousands of dollars to GoFundMe. If you don't get it and you're going to become the cancer, I'll cut you right out. I have no problem with that. You want to be a part of this team, you're going to have to learn to stand together. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn that people that you don't get along with, or you don't see eye to eye, or you consider the enemy, when they show you a crack in their shield, it's your opportunity to go in there and throw a seed in there and talk to them. And maybe, just maybe, they'll have dialogue back with you. But that didn't happen last night. So, the other thing I did get out of last night is I saw a tremendous amount of people saying the right things. I saw people that were very cordial, consistently. Jody just kept saying, "Thank you, Nina, thank you." I thought it was tremendous what some of you did. So that's the reason why I came back tonight. I was really thinking about selling all this stuff and getting out of radio. I mean, I was that, because here's why I was so disgusted by it. This is a group of people that I've been working with for 2 years. I bring one guest on that is outside of the norm, and what happens? You crap all over her. But I'll stick with it. I'm not going to quit. There's a lot of people that got it last night. And I thought that was pretty awesome. So we're going to refocus now, and we're going to start looking at things a little bit differently. Now, Tanya Shara, I don't know why you're shaking your head, but I will block your ass if you're doing that at me, because you're one of the people that I thought was pretty damn nasty to Nina. So, you want to shake your head, you can shake your head right off this show. I don't need your support. And I know you've supported me. I know it. Same thing with you, Mark Chambers. I don't know why you're shaking your head. So, we're gonna rethink things here. We're gonna redo things here, and you're either gonna get on board with this, or you can go watch some other show. Because this is the way it's going to be. You know, we don't just do this show so that I can get my jollies and people can see me. You want to see that? Go watch Fox News and CNN. You watch people who, that's all the only reason why they're on TV and the radios, because they want to be famous. I don't give two craps about that. What I want is to grow a group of people, that 3% that stood with George Washington. I want to grow more than 3%. I want to grow 60% so that we can crush any force. Do you realize that there are forces at play right now? You've seen it in the news, in the DOJ, in the DOD, in the FBI, in the State Department, in the IRS, in the VA. They are trying to systematically destroy this country and ruin our Constitution. Do you get that? Do you understand that? We have never, in over 240 years, been closer to a tyrannical government than we are today. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks. I'm not Alex Jones. I'm not running with something that is, this is real. We are closer to a tyrannical government than we've ever been. And people are wanting to give up their Second Amendment rights. Veterans who swore an oath to the Constitution, they're willing to give up their rights to people who don't even offer solutions. Do you realize that? It is of utmost importance that not only we, okay, Tanya, you're going to get blocked. I'm sorry. I'm not having a discussion about Sharia law right now. And Nina is not a Sharia law supporter. I don't know where you guys got that last night. I asked 10 people, did you hear Nia say she supports Sharia law? No. Somebody had to come on and ask that. We knew that we were going to ask that. We talked about it before the show. We said, I guarantee you somebody's going to come on and ask you about Sharia law. Sure enough, they did. And she laughed. She made a joke about like, yeah, what's so bad about Sharia law? And then she turned around and said, I like my freedom, don't I? Because it was a stupid question. She wouldn't be sitting there. Do you think I would have somebody on this show? Because I don't, like I said, I'm not bringing people on here to argue. Do you think that I would have somebody on this show that supports Sharia law? Unless I specifically wanted to squeeze the information out of them to find out what they like about Sharia law, to educate you all. So, here's what's going to happen. Not only do you need to be united amongst conservatives or amongst realistic thinkers. I don't even want to use conservative and liberal. You must look for the opportunity to be united with people that you may not have anything in common with, except for that one specific thing: protect the Constitution. Isn't that why we have the country the way we have it? So that you're not forced to be like somebody else? What if we sat up here talking about how bad Christianity is all the time? How would you like that? Probably wouldn't be tuning in, would you? Even if I said Christianity's bad, but I support the Second Amendment, you wouldn't have anything to do with me. Well, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord Jesus Christ, and I love my Constitution. So we need to be united, not divided. And if somebody steps up here and they open that wall up just a little bit, and you find that space where you can have the unity, we're going to make the most of that. And if you don't like Sharia law, you shouldn't have a problem with last night's show, because Nina does not support Sharia law, as she made it perfectly clear, even though I said we weren't going to talk about that. So if you think this is just a regular old show, you're mistaken. If you think that I'm going to allow people to come on here and treat a guest like crap, or if I'm going to allow you to come on and express how much you hate something when we're not even talking about that, you're wrong. There's got to be some discipline in a group. You want to see discipline? Go to a communist meeting. Go sit with leftists who hate Donald Trump. They are unified. Well, we're going to be unified in the truth. That's what we're going to do. So let's move on to the next topic. I hope everybody understands exactly what I'm saying. I won't tolerate it anymore. I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to build a force of unity. I did not sign up to build trolls. And I'm not going to put up with it. I'll block trolls on Twitter that come against me, that come against the Constitution, and I'll block you on Facebook and Twitter if you go against my guests when I'm showing you a person, an individual that opened their mind and gave you the opportunity to have a dialogue, and you blew it and you were rude. I will stop that in a heartbeat. We are not going to go down that road. I hope you enjoy this personal attention. You're not going to get it from any other show, that's for sure. So I'm just going to say a couple things right here about President Trump and how he is responding to this crisis down in Florida of this shooting of 17 people. Like I said before, I don't like the way that these students that go to that school are acting. To me, Kitty Kelly, you're pushing my limits right now. Okay? So, President Trump, and the way he's responding, to me, is not conducive to finding effective solutions for how to solve this problem of recurring school violence. Bump stocks and getting rid of bump stocks is not going to fix this problem. Trying to make sure that certain things on a gun that keeps it from getting fully automatic, it's not going to solve this problem. The shooter didn't use a fully automatic weapon in Florida. The shooter did apparently use a bump stock or something like that. I still think it was more than one shooter, and I still think it was fully auto weapons that were used in Vegas, and I think we're being lied to about that. But it's not going to stop anything. Right now, and I'm not saying that bump stocks should be illegal. I think we need to look at the reality of what bump stocks are. It's kind of a toy, really, but it's a serious toy. You're not going to use a bump stock to go hunting. But the fact is, I haven't heard the president say one thing about school security. I haven't heard him say anything about looking into what all these veterans are screaming. Let us step up to the plate. Give us the opportunity. Let us take our skills and step to the plate along with former cops and protect our children. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard him mention the things that I've said about a threat assessment. Just do threat assessments for schools. Let's do studies for schools. Let's put the subject matter experts. I'm not talking about cops in this case. I'm not talking about firemen. I'm not talking about lawyers. I'm talking about unconventional warriors, killers like SEALs, special forces. Let those people go look at these schools. Let us go look at the schools. Let us look at it. Let us see the common vulnerabilities, the common avenues of approach, the common types of people that would attack, and figure this out so that we can maybe potentially get a a well thought out foundation of a threat assessment that we can send to all the schools in the country, universities included, and then that is something where they start and they do their own threat assessment from. I'm not hearing that from this president. I'm hearing headlines about bump stocks and about sitting down and having a discussion with these children, these young adults that are activists. Kitty, we're not talking about Islam right now. We're having a completely different discussion. Something that you could actually give your 2 cents on because you were in the military for 33 years. But you won't get off this freaking Muslim issue right now, and we're not talking about that. That's what I'm talking about, folks. You guys should be discussing this stuff amongst yourselves because you're going to go out into the world and people are going to ask you questions, and you're the ones that are going to be debating people. You should be discussing this right now or listening to it if you don't know. And if you do know, you should be kicking in your 2 cents. The fact is, this president, who I voted for, who I supported, who I believe in, is not doing anything so far that I can see that is going to stop a next school shooting. Now, I expected it from Obama. I do not expect this from President Trump. The reason I pushed him so hard is because he is operationally minded. He knows how to effectively build a business or an ice rink or a brand, but yet he's failing in this securing schools and already talking about the Second Amendment. That's the last thing we should be talking about. So, I'm sure that the president doesn't watch this show, but maybe somebody does that gets a word to him. This is failure. There's going to be another shooting if you don't stop with the gun control crap and get on board with securing these schools. And then we'll have the discussion about bump stocks. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a couple Marines and maybe a former cop or two guarding a school after you do a threat assessment, shut the doors that can be locked, figure out a way to funnel people into the front doors, put up metal detectors. George Clooney, you fool. If you want to give money, $500,000, you want to give some money, give it to the school so they can have metal detectors, idiot. He's giving it to this. It's another one of these vagina hat marches that they're all going. Same people are going to show up to do this. This thing about basically it's going to be a "We Hate Trump" protest. It's not going to be anything about security for schools. I can guarantee if you had a couple Marines, a couple former cops up there, they could be in 511 pants or jeans. I don't care. Guayavera shirt, gun underneath their shirt, not interacting with the students. But we've done a threat assessment. We've locked down the school. We know where people are at all times. We teach the teachers how to act when they're outside. We've taught the bus drivers how to act outside, how to stand tactically, how to monitor things, how to discuss things over text or phone so they can move and communicate. We've gave realistic briefings to the kids so that they can understand how the importance of them. Yeah, be a kid, but the importance of them being able to act. I can guarantee if you did all that and you put a couple Marines and a couple cops out there volunteering 10 to 20 hours a week, and somebody approached that school, they're going to get stopped one way or the other. They're either going to get stopped and questioned, in which case they'll find the weapons, or they're going to get blasted, in which case they're going to get dead before anybody in the school gets dead. Bump stocks aren't going to stop a thing. Even if that guy whipped out a bump stock, I guarantee you these guys, men and women, volunteering to stand post would be on them in a heartbeat, eliminating the threat. I don't hear any of that from President Trump. In fact, I don't hear any of it from anybody in Washington, D.C. And as sure as heck, I'm not hearing it from the sheriff down there who completely failed and allowed this to happen in the first place. I'm not hearing it from any school administrators. I'm not hearing it from anybody. Yeah, and Jamie, you bring up, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is a good question. Who wouldn't gladly pay more taxes to protect our kids? Who? We wouldn't even, see, here's the thing. It wouldn't even take a lot of money to do what I'm talking about. You would need things like, money for the metal detectors, maybe money for those things that go into the door that keeps the door barricaded, maybe some money for Kevlar that Billy Gibbons could help out with, Kevlar blankets for people to lay under, whatever. I talked about how all these classrooms are one classroom after another. There's doors that exit in the hallway, but there's no internal doors so that they can run and not have to go into the hallway, run from classroom to classroom until they get to a point where they're sheltered away from these people. Maybe they could have one room in the school in each sector of the school that is secured with some type of some type of lining on the wall. They have cement that's bulletproof, a bulletproof door, and they got internal doors that go, and they go into that room. You can shut it, and that's a safe room. If you want to spend some money, spend something on that. Go get the volunteers to secure your location. But giving $500,000, George Clooney, to a hat march is stupid. There's going to be children that are going to die because George Clooney, who could have made a difference, didn't, because he's a fool. And also, if the president doesn't get on board, the same thing, it's going to be on his shoulders. I'll tell you right now, this man, President Donald Trump, has the opportunity to do something that nobody has done in our history of this country. Secure a school. It's not been done. They secure bases, they secure federal buildings, they secure airports. But even airports aren't secured properly, but they're still somewhat secured. You're not going to get on a military base. You're not going to get into a federal building and do a shooting. You may get into the lobby, but I don't even know if you're going to get in the lobby. Maybe, probably at a bigger federal building, but not at a small town federal building. Maybe in New York City where there's a big lobby, but most federal buildings, you are not going to get into the lobby. You're going to be watched. Unless they put the FBI on it now, they'll overlook it probably, but this president has got to get on board with this. He's got the opportunity to make changes that have never been, that nobody's ever stood for, and save children. Got to do it. So, there you go. That's my show for tonight. Let's go to the Truth Zone. All right. So, as you can see, I'm a little fired up. I'm fired up for a couple reasons. I feel like a parent who's disappointed in his kids. Not because I don't love you, because I'm disappointed in you. I'm proud of other ones. I'm proud of the people who did the right thing last night. I'm disappointed in the ones who did the wrong thing. I'm proud of this president for what he's done to stand against the establishments and the criminals and the leftists and the communists in government. But I'm disappointed in him because when it comes time to make simple changes, he's failing. Simple changes. And so I go back to what I was taught in the SEAL teams or what I was taught in all the law enforcement agencies that I work. It's the same thing that people that make it great in the Olympics get back to the basics. If you want to be a great shooter, learn the basics. You want to be a great runner, learn the basics. You want to be a great parent, learn the basics. Or dog owner. But if you go out and you get caught up in emotion and you get caught up in the flavor of the day for the world will consume you. And if you're in a leadership position, you will be crushed. And the opportunity you have to make a difference will be crushed. I'll leave you with this. I love every single one of you, and I believe in the CQRF. I believe in each one of you individually. But we've come to a point in this country where you must take what's going on very seriously. This country is in a crisis situation. And there are people that, they're not these activists, they don't have what's best in their hearts for this country. They are looking to destroy this country, to normalize it. And if you don't stand together in this critical moment, if you don't put what your emotions are to the side, the things that you all have been taught, say what you want, do what you want, feel what you want. You don't have to answer to anybody. Well, that's why our country is in the shape that it's in. You treat people with respect, with dignity, with morals and ethics. And guess what? You're going to be treated the same way. And when people don't treat you that way, you'll be able to stand against them. You'll be able to make effective decisions. You shouldn't only seek to make effective decisions, but you should demand it from people that are in a position of power. If you work in a job and you don't have a job description and you keep getting in trouble, you turn around and you tell that boss, give me a damn job description. If you want me to be the best, tell me what you want and I'll do it the best. But you got to tell me. Demand it. And if you're a leader and you've given a job description to people and they're not following it, fire their ass and move on. Same thing with politicians. I don't care how in love you are with Donald Trump. He better get on board. If more of these school shootings happen, it's going to be on his shoulders and the activists. I'm Jonathan Gillum. My old buddy Rico's over there walking around doing laps like an old man in a mall. This is The Experts. And wherever you hear this voice, wherever you see this face, remember this: the truth has arrived. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.